Hello everyone, and welcome to Linux Forensics here at Pentester Academy. In this video, we're going to show you how to examine some of those log files that you captured in an earlier video. So I've already logged in to my MySQL database. And as a reminder, if I do a show tables, I will see that I have a logs table. So I can go ahead and describe my logs table, and it shows me it's pretty simple. It has the file name, an entry, and then a record number. Now the biggest reason that we have a record number in this case is that we want to be able to order our queries correctly. So we can use the record number in order to order our queries so that we get things in the same order they were in the original file. Now chances are it would come out this way anyway, but as database rows do not have a natural order to them, we want to enforce this, and just in case. So I'll start by doing a select distinct on the log file name from logs, and this should tell me here are all of the log files that I captured. So I see BTMP, which is used to record unsuccessful logins, LightDM, Mode Manager cups, our syslog, etc. Check root under fs check fs. So there are a whole bunch of things. udev, if I want to see what kind of devices have been installed, and authlog, etc. So let's start with something really basic. Let's have a look at dmessage. So dmessage will just tell us about devices on the system. Now we think this was a remote compromise, so this wouldn't be necessarily interesting, but we're going to look at it nonetheless. So we're going to select log entry from logs where log file name is like %, which is the wildcard in SQL, dmessage %, and we will order by recno. And we see we got 508 rows. Now I could easily capture this to a file if I wanted to do so, and that might be easier. If you'll forgive me, I will temporarily reduce my font. So here you can see these entries. Now these entries are done and they have a timestamp from when the system was booted. So here I have my various entries. And you can see, as we suspected, nothing terribly interesting in that particular file. What about some of these other files? Dmessage wasn't interesting. Syslog, possibly. What about authlog? Let's have a look at that one. So I'm going to do the same kind of a query, except I'm going to say it is auth. So %auth %. And once again, what do I see? Let's see if in particular I see anything relative to Jan or root. And here I say session open for user root by John. And this was on March 9th. Again, March 5th and March 9th both seem to be important days. And we're executing a command here. Listening on port 22, which is normal. This is abnormal. Why does the user lightdm have a new session? Again, that user doesn't normally log in. So let's see if there's anything else that's interesting. Let's scroll back to the 5th. And we'll have a look. And actually, I don't have logs back to the 5th in this particular file. That might be in an archived file, which is something I could look at if I thought it was interesting. So this one seems to start on the 9th. Someone disconnected. Failed password for this user, and sure enough, it was lightdm shortly thereafter. So let's see, this is 21:33:55 at 21:34:00. So 5 seconds later, it was accepted. So someone fat fingered the password for lightdm. Again, this lightdm user shouldn't even be logging in. A session was opened for that user, and they disconnected a little bit later. So this is probably just a test. And what happened right after that? Sure enough, user John with 2 ends connected. Now all of these are coming in with this IP address just because it's in a virtual box, and that's the only machine that has connectivity into the system. And what else happened? It looks like this user John with 2 ends logged in, and he tried to do sudo, and it said he's not in the file. You know, you always get that message, this incident will be recorded. Well, apparently this is where it's getting recorded. He then disconnected. There were a few interesting items, and again, we're just adding a little bit of evidence here and a little bit of evidence there to paint our overall picture. You know, there are a whole bunch of other files in here. We could look at the system logs. Those tend to get a little cluttered. Fail log. So we see just from looking at a few logs that capturing these logs can be useful. We're not necessarily going to examine all of them, but as you go through an investigation, you might find certain logs that seem to be relevant, and you might want to do some work with those. Well, that's all for this video. As always, if you're enjoying these videos here at Pentester Academy, tell a friend, help us spread the word. We'll see you soon.